to another beautiful edition of Political Arena on Melkite Television. I'm still your host, Fatima Yakub, and this edition promises to be a very interesting one. Thank you. We'll just go on a very short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. And the topic of discourse on this very edition is why we think Governor Yahaya Bello is the best candidate for presidency come 2023. And like I said earlier, I have a very wonderful guest today, and that's the person of Professor Chris Mustapha NWAOKOBIA Jr., who is the convener Country First Movement. Welcome you.
My pleasure to be on.
Thank you very much. We won't take much of your time. We just want you to tell us why you think Governor Yahaya Bello should be the person at that seat come 2023.
And let me say clearly that oftentimes when I get confronted with that question, first, the one thing that comes to mind is one of the inimitable quotes of Mitt Romney, who ran for American presidency against Barack Obama. He said something about youth.
Okay.
He said, youth is the age of activity. Youth is the age where great things are done. And interestingly, in my brother and friend, Governor Yahaya Bello, you have a young man. He's just 46. He's passionate about what he does. And then interestingly, he thinks on his feet. I say this advisedly. The first time I met him, he told me about the things he knew about me, almost everything about me. And then I wondered how. And he told me he's been following my activities since he understood what Nigerian politics and engagement is. And we talked for about 3 hours the first time we met. And interestingly, he could attempt just about every topic.
Okay. Also,
more excitingly, if you like, was the fact that in that discussion we got to talk about COVID-19. And months after, his position on COVID-19 has been largely vindicated across the world. That's the young man we're talking about. And then, beautifully, if you like, Governor Yahaya Bello has been able to show that he believes not only in our country, whether by metaphysical providence, if you like, Lokoja as a conference city, as a capital of KOGI state, was the first capital of a functional Nigerian federation. That's why the government house in KOGI state is called Lugard House. But more interestingly is the fact that he comes across as a young man who believes in Nigeria. He comes across as a young man who understands that KOGI is a microcosm of the Nigerian state, multilingual, multi-religious, multi-ethnic. And then he has risen beyond those banal tendencies that hold Nigeria down. And with that I mean, when you talk about, there have been governors of KOGI state before Yahaya Bello.
Sure.
Now, Yahaya Bello was the first, being a Muslim, to think about building a chapel, a Christian worship center in the government house. He was the first governor who did it. He did it because he believes that we all worship one God. Whether you be Muslim, Christian, animist, traditionalist, there's one God the world look up to. And the mode of worship may differ. Yahaya Bello said to his people, that the time to carry along every tendency in Kogi State is now. And he's done that largely successfully. But you know what excites me about the young man, and the reason I think that together with him we can take our country out of the nada to promise. The reason, basically, is the fact that he's been able to inspire young people. The average age of the Kogi government cabinet is about 42.
Okay.
He's been able to say to the young people, we can do profound. And then beautifully, time was when people used to say that Rwanda has the highest gender parity in Africa. No, but it's not Rwanda after all. It's Kogi in Nigeria. And that's because Yahaya Bello thinks highly of women. He's the only governor in this country who has a female ADC. He has the longest serving secretary to government who's a woman. All the local governments in Kogi State has a female as speaker. The ones that do not have a female as chairman has a female as deputy chairman. And then he has the highest rate of engagement of women in governance. And that's in tandem with the Millennium Development Goals. We're talking about the universe and the planet that must tap into the deep tendencies of a woman. I tell people when they listen to me that there's an amazement in God's creation called the woman, the womb man. They are wonderful in terms of thinking, in terms of leadership, and Yahaya Bello has been able to tap into their ability. So when we talk about Nigeria come 2023, we're talking about someone who's cosmopolitan. We're talking about someone who understands the ability and the tendencies of young people. Okay. We're talking about a person who understands that together with women, we can take our country out of the jangling discord of despondency, hopelessness, joblessness, and trouble to the amazing place of promise. And that's why I think that come 2023, we must look youthward. And looking youthward means we must go the way of Adoza.
Yahaya Bello. Thank you very much, Professor. I also want to ask that, do you think, having talked about the wonderful things Governor Yahaya Bello has done in Kogi State that makes you so confident that he's fit for that position, do you think there are some aspects of governance that you think he needs to step up a bit, or he has been so perfect in all his doings?
Let me make you laugh. What must he step up? Engagement of the people, the media. He has to do a whole lot of work in making them realize that Kogi is not what they otherwise thought. Until I met him, so many of my contemporaries will say, oh, what is he doing? He should be a wonderful example of youth engagement and youth leadership. After I met him and decided to do what I call my personal forensic of governance in Kogi State, I was amazed. And I got back to him and I said, my father told me about a praxis that remains forever true. He said, the story of the warrior and the warrior which is mightier. And when he threw that challenge on me, I was a bit confused. I was about 13, 14. And he told me that no matter how strong the warrior is, his story is mightier. And after then, we began to engage the people and tell the people about the wonderful things Yahaya Bello has done in Kogi. And let me tell you, before he became governor of Kogi State, the only place in Nigeria where Boko Haram had an IED manufacturing plant was in Kogi State. That was the hub of Boko Haram armory. After Yahaya Bello became the governor, it was demolished. He got across to raise a local vigilante that was so effective, effectual, and efficient. Not only did he do that, Kogi State, as you and I talk, is the safest state in the whole of the North. It is not our making. It is not our statistics. It's verifiable anywhere in the world. Go to the police website, you see. In northern Nigeria, Kogi State is adjudged the safest. Then in the whole country, Kogi State is the second safest state in Nigeria after the state of Osun. And it's arguably so because I think that with what is happening in Osun State today, Kogi State should be adjudged the safest state. And that's because of the industry, the commitment, and the passion of the young man. I tell you, when other state governors use their security votes the way they wish, YAHAYA deploys it to ensure that the state is safe. That's one of the major things. I think that he should up the ante in making the world see. And I remember when I asked him, why aren't you? He said, I am not one of those governors who would spend half the money they spend on tiring roads and advertising the roads. I don't want to call names. You know the governors who do that. He said, I'd rather spend that money in doing more. And check Google. Lokoja, the capital city of Kogi State, is arguably today one of the fastest growing cities in Africa. It's on Google, not on Kogipedia, not the creation of YAHAYA BELLO, but it is what is happening. Look at what he's done with Ganaja Bridge. Is that my pronunciation correct? Look at what he's done with the flyover. Look at what he's done with the civic center. Look at what he's doing there across the state. And when people talk about Kogi, they don't even understand that Kogi is one of the largest states in this country in terms of land mass. They don't even know that Kogi State has 9 state borders and the FCT, which makes it the 10th.
Okay.
How he manages to keep a state that large safe is an amazement. How he manages to do what he's doing in Kogi State is an amazement. And so when we're talking about the need for a young, enterprising, passionate and committed young man to take over the realms of leadership, like the president says, from GYB Governor YAHAYA BELLO to PYB President YAHAYA BELLO, we're not being overly optimistic. We're not being political. We're saying that the time to try the young
has come.
And the age of activity is now. And let me make you understand the historicity of our country. The best moments of our country have been when young men held superintendents. Obasanjo in his first coming was heralded as a wonderful president. He gave us a shipping line. He gave us 2 massive refineries. He built over 19 universities. When he came as an old man, he did little compared to what he did
when he was young.
Look at President Muhammad Buhari. It was what he did between 1984 and 85 that made him a worthy candidate for 2014-2015. Today people are saying, oh, the truth is that the age of youth is the age of activity. And this country needs a young man who's agile, who's passionate, who's effective, who is committed to take this country away from the morass.
Thank you very much, Prof. We'll go on a very short break. When we come back, we'll continue with the next question. You're still watching Political Arena on MLC TV. I am still Fatima Yakub. Welcome back. I still have Professor Chris Mustapha NWAOKOBIA Jr., who is the convener, Country First Movement. And we're still talking about why you think Governor YAHAYA BELLO is the best candidate for presidency come 2023. Right now, I want you to tell us why you are not in support of the call for zoning.
Let me say clearly and very importantly that when people present zoning as a call for justice, I think they're true by half.
Okay.
You ask yourself, how can zoning, which alienates another set of people, maybe because of their region, maybe because of their tendency, how can that work for justice? I'll give you a practical instance. If I were to become president of Nigeria tomorrow, because power is zoned to my access to my part of the country. And I'm creating a son, I'm teaching a son who, by every standard, in the next few years will be a better person than I am. And he wants to become president after me. People will say, oh, go and sit down. Your father has ruled Nigeria, so he has to go to another. Where does that happen? You deny a child, you deny the future the right to nurse an ambition and achieve the purpose for which they believe God has given them talents, because a certain geography thinks that power has to be turn by turn. That's absolutely unjust.
Okay.
So I think that if we have challenges with our nation, we can work out solutions to those challenges. And if you ask me, I can give you 1,001 ways that we can create some bridge of justice and equity in our country. It is not about sharing power. And some people will cite Switzerland, where you have zoning or rotational presidency. But let me tell you what happens in Switzerland is more ceremonial than effective. You have about 6 presidents over a period of 6 years. Every year you have a president. But the person who holds power is there for 6 years. That's exactly what. So if you want to run a ceremonial presidency where you have each of the geopolitical zones producing a president after a year or after 4 years, you can do that. But the man who heads government, who calls the shot, must be a man who's ambitious, who's passionate, who's committed to the well-being of the people. And so I do not subscribe to, and I've always told people, since 1999, it's been my position, effectively so, that Nigerians must be allowed to aspire and to have ambition. Now it is left for the man who is able to connect across this country to become our president. And he must have competency and capacity. That should be the benchmark. But if people want to canvass zoning, and people think that that is the way we must go, then power should be zoned to women and the young people. Because they are the only ones who haven't held to the ranks of leadership in this country. Anything about zoning to the north central and zoning to the southeast, zoning to the southwest is, for me, hubris. I think that the way to go is competency and capacity. And that's what my young man, my brother and my friend, GYB, has in multiples.
Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. We'll continue this edition next week.